Hey, welcome to Wild Bob Forces. Talking about improvisations, lead lines, and melody. Hey, haven't we always wanted to step out there that just that one time, be Keith Richards, be somebody that was really kicking out the jams. Okay, so much for the harmonica. You know, by the way, this was an old band shirt that I had back in, it was 1974, and it was at the time Richard Nixon resigned the presidency, and we had a band. It was just called the Bellingham Herald, because this guy had put in all his Olympia beer truck shirts with the guy. His name was Harold, so we could hand out Herald to everybody, and the name of the local newspaper was also the Bellingham Herald. And so the Heralds would show up and play Hail to the Chief, the new chief anyway. Anyway, so hey, welcome, and welcome to maybe what might be your last class, and certainly is my last class here at this year's Fall Festival. We're going to talk about lead lines and improvisations, and I'm hoping, trusting that some of you got out there and listened to that, because you know these days, I mean, I play a lot of tunes, but these days I have more fun, more personal satisfaction just simply noodling on what somebody else is doing, you know, and they'll bring to me swing tunes, and people say, you can't play swing tunes. And, oh yes, you can. And rock and roll, and beautiful, lovely, mellifluous folk tunes about, you know, hope and trust and love and all these wonderful things. And you know, I actually don't pay attention to the words anymore, hardly much. I just want to, they leave me a little space, and I just want to step in there and add a little fill, a little filigree, you know. So those are that went out and kind of looked at some of the performance stuff I've done. That's well, I say it's a good indication of where my music has gone, and you might have noticed that a lot of what I'm doing. First of all, let's get this straight. I'm playing on a straight melodic, unadorned diatonic instrument. There's no extra frets, or in fact, I find personally they just get in my way. Somebody hands me one extra fret, because I've been so locked in for so many years looking at my fretboard. If I see a little extra fret there, I was like, was I supposed to go here? And in that half second of non-concentration, I can't figure out what to do. So the way I look at it is like violins don't have any frets on them at all, and neither do cello. So if anything, I get 8 or 7 rather, and the repeat 7 sort of cheater marks that help me know where those other notes are anyway. So for me, if I need a note and it's below it, I can just bring it up underneath. Now, I've also, because of my style of playing, and I think because of the way that the dulcimer, it's easier to pull a string than it is to push a string. Okay, and so I have a tendency to step onto the bass side of my instrument. Maybe it's part of it is because as any older guy, I'm losing parts of my hearing, and I can hear this better than I can hear. I mean, yeah, there's a minimum difference there, but the idea is, yeah, you can't just play bass all the time or treble all the time, but what is a lead and what is a fill, and how do you find your way into them? And hopefully in the next 55 minutes or so, that's what we'll get to cover. And I've said this practically to all my classes, so you've taken a previous class from mine, I apologize, but you're going to hear it again, is that, to paraphrase Teddy Roosevelt, play softly, but carry a thick pick. Okay, I just can't. If you want a sound to pop, you're not going to get it with one of these type of Herdem picks that when you put some pressure on them, they do this. Okay, so, and there's a whole series of these thinner type picks, you know, and the thinner pick, this is a Fender or a Gibson pick, same sort of difference. When you bend it, it goes like this. Okay, and that makes your flappier sound. Now, I'm trying to really make this thing pop, and it doesn't pop. Go back to that thicker pick. Okay, and the great part about that is that you can play softly with a thick pick, but you can't play hard with a soft pick. I can play in that frame of so I have the range of the dynamic, and the simplicity is first of all I hold my pick here. You see what's happening to me is that I hold it between my middle finger. A lot of people are doing this, and I find that puts my hand off balance. So I've always gravitated for some reason, and nobody taught me anything about this. It's just trial and error through the years. I found it was easier to have it in the middle of my hand, that it balanced just a little bit better. So it's been years and years and years since bing, a pick went flying away. But they will. Someday they will. Just carry an extra pick here so you're not crawling around on the floor in the middle of your gig looking for your pick. So, oh, and then get one of a contrasting color or two or three contrasting colors, you know, because sooner or later you're going to flip one of these into a place where you can't find it. There's a nice, oh, there's a great color, except you can't find it. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little about the nature of the pick too. This one has a slight bit of a point on it. I'm finding I'm kind of liking it just a little bit more than the ones that are slightly rounded. And just for, in fact, I just looked these up online. They're almost $1 a piece. These are called Dunlops, and they're what's an 88 millimeter, you know. But it's just it has that extra point where I can get in there. And when I'm playing, it just doesn't happen to me much anymore. It really just doesn't. But in the earlier days, or the salad days, you know, when I'm playing really fast or something like that, the pick will end up moving in my hand, and with a pick that is a triangle shape, I could just go to the next point and not lose a beat at all. And with these, let's see here, with a standard type guitar pick, here's one. I think I can get it out of there. Oh well, you know what I mean. You've all seen the standard guitar pick, and the standard guitar pick is you know, it's 2/3 of that size, and there is no extra spot up in here. So anyway, just in terms of, we're discussing what works for me, and hopefully you can find some of the things that will work for you. And okay, so first of all, find a thicker pick, and if you hold it lightly, the pick bends. The pick, when you're going over the string to get the water, the pick, it's the fingers that let it move. Okay, and when you squeeze it, you can't. Okay, so you just if you want a soft sound, you just hold it lightly. You want a thicker song, you squeeze it. You want a really thick song, you squeeze it until the tips of your fingers are turning white. That you got a grip on that pick. And you can, in the same phrase, go from light to punchy. Because what we're also learning to do is what creates a good lead line is that it just doesn't go noodle, 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 filled up the space somebody else's term. No, it's a conversation. And we're going to talk about what I perceive as part of those conversations, and it's the safe places to go. And the safe places, when you get somebody whoosh launches you out, and you got this regular thing that's going dee da 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 dee da 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 da. You know, and as a musician, you got to keep the framework of what's going on in your head. You got 4 bars of this, you got 4 bars of that, you got 4 bars, and at that 16th bar, you better be home. Okay, so you have this sort of double tracked timing thing that's going on in your head. So real regular. Okay, and what are the keys? How do you get to where you want to go and stay there? Okay, I look at it this way. I look at music, the conversational part of music. I look at my dulcimer and I say, ones. your root tone. That's like a noun, okay? It's a placeholder in the universe. It's a rock. It describes something. It says, I'm here right now. I'm a rock. And you've got several different kinds of rocks as you're threading your way into how you find your way into a competent, cogent lead melody. And that is the 1, the 3, the 5, whoops, 1, 3, 5, 8. So your 1, 3, 5, 8 are places that you can give just a little bit of extra time to. You can be there. It's like the trampoline or something like that. You're bouncing like that, you know, and you can go up in the air and then plant both feet and then throw yourself out. So that 1, obviously, usually a 1 means I'm all done. By the time you get back to your 1 note, wherever that 1 note is, if I was in G, as soon as I get back to that G, I've sort of told the band, oh, I'm done. Okay? So you want to keep that 1. That 1 is your resolve. And as we know about music, 8, your octave, is also a resolve. So keep in mind as I start talking about this stuff, I am no longer, as I have for the last 9 classes, talking about fret positions, okay? Fret positions, you know, they'll mess you up every time. We're talking about music here. You guys are lead line players, improvisations, step out, get the wild yah-yahs, and illuminate. So basically, your 1 is your root tone. Your 5 is your 5th tone. Your 8 is your octave. It doesn't matter where you start, or if you're in a G scale, if you're in an E minor scale, or a G scale, or an A scale, or a C scale. You know, wherever you are, that whatever that root tone is, the key, the band says, hey, we're going to play in C. And most dulcimer players go, oh no, they're playing in C. And I go, oh, that means the key tone is here. So I'm going to be playing up here. So you just find where that key tone is. And because I do what's called bar chords, so I'll establish what that melody is. So maybe maybe I don't have, like if somebody's playing in C, I don't have an F. I can't play an F. I don't get my 4 chord. I don't get the 4 chord. So I have to invent something. And A, for instance, is a relative minor. So I go, okay, while everybody else is playing that F chord, I'll just throw in an A. Okay, and it complements what everybody else is doing. You'll hear these. You kind of learn that by playing the harmonica too. Is I say, okay, it's a diatonic instrument, and every key doesn't fit every other key, but you can still stretch them by starting in a different place and playing through your scale in such a way that you end up in the place you want to be. All right. So right now we're talking about 1, 3, 5, 8. We're going to call them our nouns, and we're going to be putting together sentences. Like, here is a rock, here is a hard place. So between the 1 and the 5, just try that. Here's your 1, here's your 5, here's your 8. Bum, bum, bum. Here's a simple lead line. All I did is I hopped my way through, let's say, a traditional 16-bar Appalachian. It could have been Old Joe Clark, could have been Cluck Those Cabbage Down, Flop That Chicken, or all those tunes. They're basically all fungible. Some are slightly different, like Old Joe Clark turns around on a 7th note. So, I mean, there are little crooked tunes that as you learn to play. And the most important thing is to remember is don't be the same place the rest of the band is if you're unsure. Get back to that 8. Everything's going to work with the 8, or take a chance and go for the 4. The worst thing you'll be is 1 note off when they're doing the 5, and you just get there, da 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 da, wrong, I better slide, da 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 da, down, da 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 da. you find yourself touching that moment, and then your ears say, "Oh, wrong place." Just gracefully slide, and it sounds exactly like you meant to do it, you know. So, and after a while, it just becomes an instinct where you really can't do any wrong. You know, the only time you can really do something wrong is you're playing a note that is one note away from somebody else. You know, it's just as simple as that. So one note away from somebody else means that you have a discord. Two intervals gives you a third. Three intervals gives you a fourth. Four intervals gives you a fifth. You know, so you know you just as you and but the good thing about that is that, friends, very seldom is a tune so irregular you can't figure out if it's going 1-4-5 instead of 1-5-4. So don't worry about it. You know, you can always recover on an 8 note, recover on an open note, because your root's always going to go against whatever else is being played. Okay, so now I have a tendency to play on the bass line these days, and one of the reasons is, I don't know. I do know. It's hard to put it into words that are kind. There's just so much of that. There's so much of that goes on, and people, because they're playing with floppy picks and they want to play every note every time. You know, I want to call them our rhythm players and let those rhythm players go. But I want to step into the other zone. Okay, and so the first thing I'm going to talk about is that 1-3-5-1. For the fun of it, we're going to do 1-3-5-1. Sounds very simplistic. 1, 2, ready, and. Now play with it in that same sequence. Just play with it a little bit. And because they're nouns, they're placeholders. That means you can stop there. Okay? It's like the triple word score. You get to stop there and rack up the points. So I get in the middle and maybe I get lost. Now this time I'm going to do the same thing we did, that 1-3-5-8, except I'm going to take a breather and just rest on the third, because usually the third's a pretty safe spot to rest. I'm going to rest on the third till I figure out, where's the tune? Oh, here goes the tune. Okay, so listen to this then. I just gave myself a little springboard where I'm waiting until I can resolve. Okay, so if Robert Force calls the conversation of music that 1, 3, 5, and 8 are nouns, in my cosmology, that makes 2, 4, and 6 adjectives. Okay, they modify. They're the grace notes. They're the places where you don't actually stay too long, you know, because they can't. A note like this can't. Okay, 1, 3, go. It's a bit tentative against that whole run. So the 1. So listen, just play the 1, and you're playing 2, 4, 6. I reverted to this talking dulcimer talk where I was talking about the frets. 2, 4, 6 in terms of your scale. Open is 1, all right? So open is 0. So we're doing this one here, obviously. Your first fret, and that little skinny guy, and then this one up here. So 2, 4, 6. Let's just play that a little bit. And we're going to do it first. We're going to put the 1, 3, 5, 8 twice. And then we'll do 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6. And the interesting thing you'll hear is when we get to the end of the 6 is going to want to stay just a little bit. Now, number 1, the first series had 4 notes in it, and this one only has 3. So you're going to add in that little extra time. But since it's an adjective, we're going to allow its modifying. So you're saying it was a really, really big rock. Okay, you spend some more time on that. So we're going to do 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3, 5, 8, 2, 4, 6, 6, 2, 4, 6, 6. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Now I'm at, I got 1, 3. Come on, 2, ready. Okay, so we'll integrate this in a minute. So the next thing is if 1, 3, 5, 8 are nouns and 2, 4, 6s in Robert Forster's Cosmology of Language of Music are adjectives, what is the 7th? The 7th is a conjunction. And you're going to find this conjunction really, really valuable particularly if you step into Caribbean, Latin music or something like that. But it also works, certainly works, absolutely works. Why? Oh, I take a little bird walk here. Because it's music. It follows the laws of physics. I'm sorry, folks. We're not talking about some arcane, mystical, religious system. It's just simply physics. Standing waves have properties. The way those waves interact create nodes of harmony. The nodes of harmony have certain strengths like the fifths, and strengths like the octaves, and obvious strengths like the root tones themselves. Okay, and you're actually, when you put the stroke gun on it, you're looking at this crossing over of waves and how those waves come and beat together. Everybody, for instance, just put your hand on the back of your instrument like that, okay, and just give your instrument a good strum. If you're in tune, do it one more time. You're feeling, one more time. Depending on how good your instrument is or how good your ears are, you can hear it ring out for several seconds. And this is an important thing to know, because when you're playing those lead lines, just because you play that note, you didn't stop. That note's still there, and you're riding it like a surfer. And you jab that staccato into it to catch up with the amount of time you luxuriously left yourself to rest on a note. So we're going to do the 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3, 5, 8, 2, 4, 6, 2, 4, 6, and then just the 7th tone. That's that little skinny guy, which most people would then call what, your 6th fret, something like that. Okay, it's going to sound like this. 1, 2, ready, and. Oh, that leading tone, you can hang on that leading tone, because a conjunction is you just can't wait for what's going to happen. And then, oh wait, I'm in suspense, and then what's going to happen, I don't know, but and then something else finally brings you to the close. So there's that sort of thing that musicians will do when they're playing, is they can set up a situation where you've got that 7th tone, and that 7th tone says, and now what's going to happen? And now what's going to happen? We know it has to go to the 1. We don't know when it's going to go to the 1, but when it goes to the 1, I'll be ready. You know, and there you are, ready to hop back out of your extended lead where you're out in the creative universe. So let's take a look at, basically, we just covered every note on your dulcimer and every possibility you have in that dulcimer. All the rest of it is cut and paste. You know, how do you put those things together, you know, in a coherent manner? And the ways that I do it is that first of all, I spend a lot of time on the other side of the beat. People are doing this. They used to live in the country, now I live in town. I sailed on the sloop John B. My so everything's like that. So that means that if we count it as a circle, bum, bum, dum, bum, dum, bum, dum, whatever the beat is, that means that following our rules of physics, 360 degrees, there's 358 other places for you to be that isn't going to conflict you with the band or the other people. Now, obviously, when we're talking about lead lines, we're talking about playing with somebody. Somebody else is cranking away and they're doing something, whether it's one people, five people, doesn't matter. They're cranking away on something and they've got a really regular piece and they've got to keep the beat. So they got boom, and you could be doing the same thing. You know, you could be mirroring what they do, or you can step into one of those other places. So they're doing, and you're doing, you just step out of that regular rhythm, knowing that you are governed by it. And one of my, okay, a useful analogy is walking. Okay, when you walk, you have rhythm. When you walk, you have a constant contact with the ground, whatever it is. We're not talking about running or hopping or skipping. We're just saying, I'm going to go walk down to a corner store and buy a candy bar, and off you go. You know, and that is what a band is doing. We're just walking it. Meanwhile, the rest of you, as your feet are going walk, 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 you can go da da do da dee da da. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Something else here. Nothing, nothing, nothing. Something else here. So the idea is that you will, not that you will. Let me rephrase that. You already know. You already have. You are already in possession of an intrinsic understanding of the beat. Yeah, you walk. You have a beat. Okay, so you just need to apply that to the music you are in the band with, that you are hearing. Okay, the music is walking by, and you get to click and pop and snap and hop and jump. Notice, like when you're walking your grandkids or maybe your kids earlier, and you're walking along, you're taking big strides, and they're going, they're hopping, they're jumping, they're skipping, they're doing everything, and they're basically sometimes being halfway dragged along by your arm, and the rest of the time kind of pulling ahead of you. And that's kind of what the lead is. It's that those playful moments in which you are, and to put it on the really positive side, you are illuminating the song. You are adding to it. You are creating an improvisation. Most often it's an improvisation. Sometimes you can write out a lead, and it works too. But more often, as you get down this road, you know, it's the intuition that is going to guide you. So here we go. Let's go back to what we were doing here. Okay. Let's just go back to that 1-3-5-8-2-4-6-7-7-7-7 thing, and just for the fun of it, it's going to be kind of hard, but just for the fun of it, every time you get to a 5, hit it harder. Okay, here we go. Not the first time. We'll get established the first time. The second time will be easier. Ready? 1, 2, ready. Okay, let's do it this way. When you get to the 5, hit it twice. Hit it twice. Ready? 1, 2, ready. So when you're following these patterns, you know, and you give yourself, right now we're doing it in a mechanical way. Hit it twice, hit it 3 times, hit it in this amount of space. You got da, 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 except you have as much time to do da, 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 da. Okay, so this time when we go through it, we're going to do da, 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 da. That's going to sound like this. You're going to just go all the way through the rest of those notes. Start on the 5, your 4th note, your 5th note, and just come up. Okay, this is the cheap and dirty and easy way to get into illuminating folk tunes. So we're going to go 1, 3, do 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 da. 1, 3, do 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 da. Here we go. 1, 2, ready. Now, after you get to there, we're going to go back to the 5 the same way we got there. Now, here's a funny thing to do. It's easy to go up. Going back down, I find that as I go back down, I'm using that extra finger, and no matter how is you're fingering it, as a doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle-doodle. In other words, I'm not relying just on that main finger, but I'm adding the extra pieces. So let's see if this works. Here we go. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, wow, we just made a lead. We went 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3, 5, 8. Then we went 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3, doodle doodle doo, and then we noodled our way back to the 5, doodle doodle doo, and again doodle doodle doo, doodle doodle doo, and then go back to the 8. So it doesn't matter which way you get through this. But let's see if we can do it one more time then. One more time. So what I did was, after I got the 1, 3, 5, and I noodled up to the 8, and I did it again, and I noodled up to the 8, and this time I noodled back. There's no really clever other way to say this. Noodling is like, yeah, you use all your fingers and try to get there in time, you know, and that dodging that extra finger, thumb, whatever it is, get your feet up on it, you know, whatever it is it takes to get that thing working. Here we go, one more. So we're going, and you'll notice that I finished. I needed a strong finish, so I went back to the 8 and then came back. So basically, I went 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3, noodle to the 8, noodle to the 5, noodle to the 5, noodle to the 5, 8 off. 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3, noodle up, noodle back, noodle back, noodle back, and finish. Noodle back. A good line for that is shortening bread. So you get that noodle stuff. But one more time, and we'll see how we can apply this kind of break in rhythm and style. Okay. 1, 3, 5, 8, 1, 3, noodle to the 8, noodle to the 5, noodle to the 5, noodle to the 5, 8, 1. One more time. 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 8, noodle to the 5, noodle to the 5, noodle to the 5, 8, 1. That would have been an absolutely perfect, squeaky clean addition to 90% of the Appalachian folk tunes you've already been playing. Okay, it's just an easy. And why did it work? Well, you use the 5 both up and down. 5's usually a good safe place to be, and you can noodle up to it and you can noodle down to it, but then you got to get to a strong finish. And so you could have got diddle 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 bam. It's like I'm really not a fan of the bombastic last note being the final note. I want a little grace note. Doodle doodle doo ba ba. Yeah, get something else in there. You got one more chance. The talking stick is in your hand. Okay, let's see what we have here. So let's see if we do this and see if we can do it with on the lower bases, on the 2, 4, 6s. Okay, so we went. Try that. We're using 2 of those adjectives. Okay, let's see if we can string that together with what we just did. We're going to go from the, instead of going up to the 8, we got we'll go all the way back up then. So I know it's confusing. Let's try the biddle bops on the 1, 3, and then we're the 2, 4. We're going 2, 4, and then we're going back to that 5th again. So we got 2, 4, 5, 2, 4, 5, or even use the rest. It's like Missouri Sheep. First thing he does whenever he comes in, takes a chew tobacco, swallows on the chin. Next thing he does when he's around, gotta have a Johnny cake and bake it real brown. So doodle doodle do. We're going to 1, excuse me, 2, 2, 4, 5. And if we do it successfully, let's see if I can do it successfully. I'm sort of inventing this as we go along. I've taught this class in different ways, but for some reason, after 10 classes of hearing me say the same thing, I want to try something a little different here. So we got wow, that's a lead. That would fit perfectly in the thing. So what we did was we went up through the 5th to the octave, like the way we did. We noodled twice back down to that 5th, and then we noodled up to the 5th twice, and then we went all the way back to the 8th and noodled our way all the way down, trying to hit as many notes as you can on the way down. Do it one more time, a little slowly. Let's see if we got. Bum bum ba da da da, bum 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 doodle 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 doo, doodle doodle doo, doodle doodle doo, doodle doo doo, doodle doo doo, doodle 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 doo. Oh, hey, that's pretty cool. One more time, just to get something like this stuck in our head, and there's no notes for this, so you will get a copy of the video and you can play with it again. But. Da dee ba dee doo bum 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 doodle doodle doo doodle doodle doo doodle doodle doo da doo da dee da doo da dee doodle 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 doo. And if you've never played a lead line before, you have now. Okay, so basically the same rule holds true no matter where you are. Like I said, I really like to come back again and again, and I once put out a treatise of paper calling demystifying music and math. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, it's math, I can't do it. Oh, it's music, I can't do it. It was some very simple, basic truths. I mean, nobody's asking you to do nuclear physics, you know, but the fact of the matter is, you hit one note and it does this. You hit the fifth of that note and it does this. You hit the next one of that note and it does this. Pythagoras, in his ancient wisdom, said 1 is to 1 as 2 is to 1 as 3. Okay, and just one quick bird walk. You never know, you might get another 2 or 3. And that is, why is that fifth? Why is that fifth tone, that bagpipe tone? Why is it so strong? Now, if you're in music and you're playing around with somebody that says, that's the dominant. It's the dominant. They call it the dominant. 1's not the dominant. That's the root. 8's not the dominant. That's the octave. The fifth is the dominant, and the fourth is the subdominant. Let me see if I can draw it for you on the screen here. Your dominant basically has a vibration. I'll go smaller. Your dominant, first time it does, it goes like this. It makes one complete revolution. The next time it vibrates, it crosses in the middle like the figure 8. So the next time it happens, it crosses everything in thirds. The next time it crosses it, everything in fourths. So what happens, think about the physics of it. The 8, when it crosses this one and crosses in the middle, it shares the same wavelength as the one that does 4. So in a sense, they swallow each other. But there's nothing to swallow this guy that is hanging out on the 5th. Okay? So nothing swallows that tone. And therefore, especially on the dulcimer, that bagpipe noise just keep, because there's nothing that can cancel it. The octave, the root, and the subdominant, the fourth, they share some of the same frequencies, and therefore they get swallowed. Okay, it's like taking that handful of rocks, or 2 or 3 at a time, and throwing them into still water and watching how those waves work. And some, when they come together, and they literally just start going together and they cancel each other. All we're talking about here is the vibrations, the theory of vibration, or not actually theory, but they got to call it something. So that the vibrations either augment each other or cancel each other. Okay, and that's why things like this one here, da, 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 it has such a small place in this pantheon of vibrations that you need a lot of it to even make it get known. It's out of here, I'm over here, I'm really still here, let me, choose me. It's just tiny little thing, and you got to give it lots of juice. If you just pass through, it's gone. Okay, so here we go. Let's try something else. Accent. We talked about a little bit about the pick, and you can also hit your strings a little bit stronger. You can also pop that string just a little bit. You can flurry the string. I'll show you the flurry. I don't expect you to get it. I want you to know it's there. And, you're coming up and... There's just different ways to add accent. That's just one way. Or you can also be coming up. The little honking noise. You're gonna call attention to it, because you do not go gently into that dark night. You've got the lead. Get out there and dance around the edge of the possible. So you're out there. You've got the spot. Go for it. And the good one thing about playing with great friends and music and stuff like that is like, every once in a while you blow it. So get back to the one, and the next time it comes around, you get a chance to do it again. That part's okay. Okay, let's see what I want to do now here. Okay, let's play with the second octave. Oh man, the second octave. And we'll try to do the same thing. We'll do the 1, 3, 5, 8, just to give us a basis of where we're going to go. And we probably won't be strumming everything, because if we strum everything, you got all that going on in the background, and that's going to be kind of hard to hear. So just try to stay on the bass string for now. Now for me, I can, because I have that dampening process where I can hold all of them down. And you may get there. I'm sure you'll get there one of these days. But for now, we're listening to the lead possibilities, and almost, not exactly always, but almost by definition, a lead is a single note, maybe a couple of combinations of notes, little touches, little flavors, little tastes, if you will, of something else. But for the most part, it's a it's a single note type thing that's taking you out to that lead. So we're starting here. Here we go. Okay, do the noodle now. Here we go again. Whether you're doing the same thing as I was, it doesn't really make any difference. I'm not even sure what I was doing. But the point is, once again, get yourself used to playing up in that octave, because all of a sudden, you're in the clouds. You're above the band. You're up in that octave. There's no mistaking the fact that your voice is ringing the most obvious. Okay, it is the obvious voice. So. Which brings me to the conjunction. When we do, as a kid, and learn to do the alphabet, I forget what it was. It's been so long, what, it's 70 years. Before I was first grade. But something like the vowels, A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Remember that one? A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y. Okay. That's the same thing with music. It's 1, 5, 3, 8, 2, 4, 6, 7, and sometimes 2. Sometimes 2. 2 can be used as a conjunction, because you're one note away from the resolve, and anytime you're one note away from the resolve, that's a place that calls attention to itself and takes a little extra note. So when we do this 1, 3, 5, 8, when we come back, before we close out our top 8, hang a little bit on the one above it. See, make sure we're being seen in here. So here's our 8. You'll hear it. Just remember. So 1, 2, 3. Hung on the 2 that time. Do it again. Last time. was easy. And I'm always reminded of I think the generation, I know my kids maybe got a little bit of it, but my grandkids certainly not. It's those old cartoons where the people holding the net are running around, and the person is at the top of the building. I'm going to jump, and they run over here. I'm going to jump, and they run over here. I'm going to jump, and they run over here. And then eventually, of course, the person jumps, and they're in the wrong place. But that's kind of what playing a lead is. Playing a lead is that you're out there jumping. You're going to jump, and and hopefully you're going to jump back to where the net is. And we all know about that. That's the one. Get in on the 8. At the very least, get it on a 5, so you're not going to be compromising the rhythm of the band. And a good band, and those of you that have had rock and roll in your varied and storied histories will remember that it's particularly, I think, in the 60s and early 70s, you'll find the band doing. And they're all doing it, and the bass player's walking forward, and the rhythm player's walking forward, and there's nothing happening. It's the guy or gal that's up there doing the lead is going. They said, I don't know what's going on. Maybe the audience is enjoying it, but we ran out of song to play, and therefore we're just going to wait until he hears us signal. It's time to come home. and it looks like good showmanship. It's like, and meanwhile inside they're going, come on, Larry, come on, Sally. Let's reel this thing back. Let's reel this thing back in. So you have the other side of it, a good band when you're playing something like that, and you get off on some kind of cool riff. Okay, let's talk about being on that riff and staying on that riff. Oh, by the way, now that you're official lead players, you get to call them riffs. Okay, these aren't leads, they're not improvisations, they're riffs, R-I-F-F. That's what you're doing. You're riffing on your dulcimer. You're riffing. Okay, so kind of the unwritten rule, but most musicians actually understand it, is that if they've given you a lead and they made room for you to have that lead, and they're good, responsive. When I say responsive, I mean they're in the song. They're not locked into, okay, that part's over, time to start the next part. And it's like, we gave you a lead, or maybe we're playing Red River Valley, and you've got some melancholy statement that is bursting out of you. Well, you keep your lead by not returning to the 1. Come back to the 8 instead. And that kind of tells the band, yeah, you can run over me because I'm at the 8. We're at the 0 ground where we come together. But just let me go a little longer. Okay, so when a person's playing something, they're doing. Okay, I didn't go back to the 1. I went to that 8, and I wanted to keep going, and that's basically, like I say, we'll just call it an unwritten rule, is that if the person in the band and the people you're playing with gets it, then they'll say, wow, they're onto something, and they want to keep exploring this theme. Oftentimes I've played with people, and they've got a 3-note sequence, and maybe they're playing that 3-note sequence because they're not quite sure where they want to go. In fact, I was in a recording studio. I used to be, among other things, a record producer. And so I'm in with my friend Sandy Stone, who had been, at that time, produced over 400 major label albums, and we did about 20 or 30 together. And anyway, we hired in this musician to sit in on a tune that our friend Steve Einhorn was doing. And he goes up into he's a hired gun, right? He's going to walk into the studio and somehow in 45 minutes knock out his piece, grab his $100, put it in his pocket, tip his hat, and get gone. So down San Francisco, and he comes into the studio, and he listens to the tune, okay, and he doesn't know the tune. Many of these studio and these side musicians you bring in, they don't know the tune. They know the language of the tune because of that 1-4-5 and the turnarounds and how music works. You know, you're going to throw that rock in a puddle and it's only going to do certain things unless you absolutely reach in there and do what the Appalachians call make it a crooked tune. And a crooked tune either modulates to a different key or changes its rhythm in the middle or does something. But a regular tune is going to continue to follow on that same thing. So this guy, great guitar player, and he goes da 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 da. And Sandy looks over to me and says, "Oh, this isn't going to work." And he goes, da 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 da. It's like I call that the jump rope analogy. Like, okay, no, okay, I'm into it now, and it's like, you know, it was like, and as it turns out, the riff was absolutely perfect because it built the tension. It's like, okay, wait a minute, what? Da, 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 da. You got my attention. Da, da, you still have my attention. Da, da, da. Now what? And he's off and running, and in that way, that same sort of opportunity to send to the band. And the whole band starts doing. Okay, so now let's bend a string. Okay, we're going to do 1-3-5-8, and this time we're going to bend that eighth note. I want you to pull that bass string towards you and give it a good pull. Okay, the cool thing about this is that you've got to put it back in place. You can't just go because it wants to go. You got to put it back in place after you pull it before you leave it. So you're going to pull it up here, and you're going to get that feeling where you're. Let's see, get some. So here it goes. Okay, so here we go. 1, 2. Oh, I did it wrong. 1, 2, ready, and. So this time, when we noodled back to our fifth by going down, we had to wait for the entirety of the vibration of that pulled string, which took up that extra time. Here we go again. So that was an exaggeration. Maybe you wouldn't bend it that long oftentimes, but let's do it just one more time. This time, when we come down, let's bend the fifth. So we got da-da-doo-da-doo-da-da, da-da-doo-da-doo-da-da, da-da-doo-da-doo-da. And when you noodle back down to the fifth, bend that note. 1, 2, 3. Did you hear that? One more time. 1, 2, ready, and. One last time. And you'll notice at the end of that, just because I didn't have time to get one more stroke in, so in order to give my one tone, I simply off all of them because it fit inside the time signature better. So let's try that one more time, and you're pulling off that last pull off. Bum, bum, ba, da, da, bum, 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 boo, doo, 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 pull, doo, 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 pull, doo, 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 pull off. So you can see how that timing works. Let me check my time. Speaking of time, was this class 1:30 to 2:30? Or yes, I think it was. So we might be down right to where we wanted to be. So I'm going to show you one last thing. Do the same thing we're talking about here, but the easiest way to learn leads is to play on the Aeolian mode, because that puts you in this blues thing. Because you got that da-dum, 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 gives you there's your seventh. There's my seventh tone. We talked about the seventh tone. The seventh tone gives us a resolve. So when you're playing up with this key, you can do anything that you want. But when you get there, all you have to do is get ready to resolve. I thank you. I thank you for coming, for being part of this craziness, and you'll have fun. You can't make a mistake. One of the other unwritten rules of music is if you make the same mistake twice, it's not a mistake anymore. So you get up there and you go, yeah, wrong note, it'll do. Play that wrong note again. Play that wrong note again. And meanwhile, I wish you many, many, many great, wonderful notes and good playing with the people that you're playing with. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert. Great class.
Okay, bye-bye, y'all.